So for the disclaimers, important to note that tier lists are all subjective and each player has their own playstyle. All of the good Karnok players I have talked to have slightly differing opinions. If you look at like China's tier lists, all of those Bilibili streamers, they also all have different versions of a tier list. So this is just fitting my own playstyle. But we can get started with the easy ones. Oh, also the tiers, all the items in each tier are not ordered. So because one is in front of the other does not mean it's better or worse. One more disclaimer is that some of these items, I have rated them based on their use at like certain points of the game. So for example, Geyser is something you would buy early and it would help carry you for a few days. Same thing with Campfire. But later on, you might not use them at all. So I'm putting items on here based on kind of their max potential. All right. So Flying Squirrel, obviously you use this pretty much for every build at every stage of the game. There are a few builds that don't really need it, but most of the time you will use this on board. And this is single-handedly the reason why we click the Strange Mushroom node every single time, pretty much. The ability to get one of these at silver is very, very powerful. It immediately makes your early game better, and you can save a B1 and B2 upgrade. So it sits all the way at the top of the tier list because you will always be happy to use one. Duplicating this item doesn't matter that much, but you should always probably have at least one. Hunter's Journal is, contrary to most people's beliefs when they first see the item, not an econ item for a Karnok. You basically just want to keep this as long as you can in your stash. Even upgrade it early is helpful. That way you can just have a lot of crit later when you really need it. So the earlier you find this, the better. And there are often times when I will upgrade it as well, because it's just that important for later. And obviously you want to try not to sell this if possible, but sometimes you really need to, and that's fine. So the reason why it's on S is because it's pretty much one of the only two ways to consistently solve for crit for the late game builds. Now, Hunting Knife is pretty much the real econ item on this character. You want to pick this up every single time. It just keeps giving you pelts for every PvE, and it's also important in general to like visit all the mountain passes and all of the opportunities for extra PvEs. So this is just an added benefit. But as long as you have one of these, you probably won't have econ issues for the rest of the run. So that's the true econ item for the character. So goes in S. Kara Call and Hunter's Pack are kind of together. Hunter's Journal solves for crits, but sometimes you can't find it. And then Hunter Pack would be the other option. The Hunter's Pack is nice because it also gives HP, so it fits perfectly into the late game builds that need the crit anyways. It does take up an extra slot. That is a good price to pay. And Kara Call, its whole purpose is to sit in the stash. and generate tags. In the early game and mid game, you can actually use it as well on your board, and it's totally fine. Does a good amount of damage, and it synergizes with our best openers. That's why those two are in us as well. Basically, if you can find like all of these in a run, you'll probably get a 10 win right now in this meta. So let's take a look at A tier stuff. Right now, Vanessa is taking over the ladder, and we want to pick things that have good matchups into her. She's very aggressive, so sometimes just sitting back and trying to sustain everything is not going to work. Karnok's like sustain heavy builds or even the burn builds, it takes time to enrage and like scale. So oftentimes you won't have that luxury. That's why we're opting to pick builds that are aggressive as well and can take out the opponent quickly. So for the early game, assuming we have like the flying squirrel and stuff, we want to look for the spear hawk. Spear and hawk work together because spear will haste your whole board and hawk will fly everything. The flying actually does matter because messenger sparrow can charge it, all the items. And also you get some crit for your whole board with the hawk. And the flying also reduces the CC for your whole board. So it's just a really strong combo early. You usually want to combine that with Ruined Amulet and Wolf. Wolf is a little bit harder to find, but not too bad. There are two shops mainly where you can find it, like the friend shop and the weapon shop. Sometimes you can get lucky, find it in Mid-Hill or other options as well. A Ruined Amulet is totally okay for substituting the Wolf. It just buffs all the weapons on your board when it goes off. You can find it early as well. On day one, you can get an enchanted version, which are pretty good. And honestly, the board goes pretty far. Like the Ruined Amulet carries for a few days comfortably as long as you have like weapons on your board, and then the spears like hasting everything. Same for Wolf. With the addition of Caracol, the Wolf will have more targets to buff. Because in the past it used to just be like Hawk and Bat, but now we have Caracol as well. So Bat goes in A as well. It's a 3-second item. It's fast, it flies, and it slows. Synergizes with all the weapon boards. Very, very good. Pocket knife as well. A very important small weapon. Gives crit to the leftmost weapon. So sometimes when you need crit, like for a claymore in the mid game, when you haven't scaled all of your crit items yet, it's pretty much necessary to get those builds working. And then in the early game, you could just use it as a weapon to buff whatever you want. Water skin is like a very versatile item. Synergizes nicely with all the heal stuff, which we'll talk about later. And then at worst, it's just like charge an item for every 4 seconds and heal. So it's not bad at all. You can pretty much just slot this in as a flex item for whichever board you assemble early. And the healing numbers actually are quite good when you upgrade it. There are also like a lot of bronze skills that heal for a lot, like base heal. So the water skin is nice to have. It only costs 2 gold most of the time. So you like sometimes you just get a bunch of healing skills randomly. You can just put that on your board. Okay, now we'll talk about the dual reaver and saw pike. So saw pike is like also quite a flexible item. It does a lot of damage. All you need to do is generate rage, which every board does by using items. It would be usually nice to have like pocket knife and maybe some other crit items on your board. That way you get like a huge amount of damage. But it's pretty fast on its own as a medium. So you can just fit it on any sort of like weapon boards that you get. And it will do just fine. Only for a few days though. But I tend to prefer it over Battle Axe. Dual Reaver is actually very, very good. It can last you the entire run if you upgrade it. on time. So you obviously get it at silver like early. Then once you get to day 6, you want to find like the sterling or a gold upgrade, and then you'll have to try to get a diamond upgrade from a shop because you want to keep up the tempo here. But it's a really good item. All you need to do is just like put some haste items on your board, and it does very well. Like even at silver, you're early in the run enough that you have enough time to get to the second rotation, and it should usually finish your opponent off. Like Wing Sigil is very nice because we're playing a lot of haste items early. For example, the Dual Reaver. And as long as we have the haste setup going, the Wing Sigil is very nice for the rage generation and the cooldown decrease. It works nicely with Battle Axe as well, which we'll talk about. It works nicely with like Tree, Club, can work with Anaconda. A lot of the weapon carries prefer Wing Sigil, or would be happy to see one at least. Now for Flare. It's pretty much like the same idea as Water Skin. It's just a flexible item you can put it on any board. Charges everything on your board, which is very nice. Cooldown's a little bit long early, but you have time early to get to second rotation. So you just need to upgrade this over time. And it fits on like any board you want, really. The Tree Club is like a nice transition from an early game where you have crit, haste, and like some small friends or fast items. You really need to have crit on this though, so just keep that in mind. Like if it's not critting, you're probably gonna lose the fight. Also, you need to like rage fast later on. But if you fire like in the mid game, day 6, you'll be totally fine. Just make sure it has crit. Like the crit is very good here. And for what board you play with it, you can kind of just keep some fast small items, flying squirrel, water skin, pocket knife, bat, like things like that, just to generate rage. Then you can add like a sigil, like a wing sigil, assault sigil. Nothing too crazy. You can check the guide for more details on this stuff. Speaking of assault sigil, it got massively buffed, so it generates 15 rage now. It's basically just a rage generator bot. So put all your small fast weapons and then in rage. It does decent damage as well, but it's mainly there just to rage fast. Once again, Tree Club, Anaconda, Giant Sling, Wild Bear, things like that. Wild Bear has gotten massively buffed as well. At Diamond, you gain like 40% of your max HP now on top. So you can consider that like a heal almost. And it also does a lot more damage on the second swing if you enrage. So usually what we're doing now is combining the Wild Bear with the Assault Sigil. And then adding like, obviously the flying items, stuff that charges, bat, small fast weapons, even like a bear trap if you have ammo. That way your Assault Sigil triggers really fast, and then on the second swing of the bear, you already have all those buffs, and you do a lot of damage. Very good build right now. So, yeah. I mean, the bear itself works nicely in like any of the spear friend boards as well. Just slotting it in. And then later on, once you get all your crits scaled up and a lot more HP, then you can swap in the Assault Sigil stuff. Now we'll quickly touch upon the slow items. Chains is absolutely necessary for scaling. You don't want to rely on any skills. Like the skills do not scale enough. So you must have chains and you must upgrade them if you want to go for like the slow builds. Heavy crossbow is an exception, but we'll talk about that. Night vision and hunter's boots are like the premier items for the slow builds. Night vision is fast. It also hastes your board. And then hunter's boots gives crit. For your carry, you mainly just do boa constrictor every time. Because it's just like a medium femur. that also slows their entire board when you're in rage. So it's very nice. I would probably be careful about buying it early though. You do need to have the chains and the chains upgraded before buying it. But the problem with buying it early is your only slow item will be a worry ward, which is very suspicious. But sometimes when you like play your opener and you just get stuck on that, that's totally fine. The worry ward opener with the chains is not bad at all. So from there, you would want to transition to bow. Cool thing about Night Vision Hunter's Boots and the slow package is actually, if you get a fairy circle, you can play other items now instead of boa. So you can go like Claymore, you can go Wild Bear. Any kind of like big bonk weapons are good. Since the Hunter's Boots is giving crit, you don't need to put the crit items on your board anymore. And then Fairy Circle is pretty broken in the sense that like when enemies are trying to CC you, you get charged as well. So you could also put Dual Reaver in that spot. You can put a Soul of the District or like off-class items. But you do need the Fairy Circle, or else this stuff usually doesn't work. I'd say Hunter's Boots is pretty flexible though. Like you can use that without a Fairy Circle on like Claymore boards and stuff if you need some crit. Totally good. Alright. So hit all those items. Waystones. Honestly, kind of bait now, since it doesn't come online until you upgrade it, and you go on a like a crash site or an expedition. It also gives loot, but it's just like a huge investment into an item that you might not use. And we need to be careful with our money, since we're trying not to sell Hunter's Journal, and we also, we have to buy the expensive items later. So actually, I don't buy the Waystones as much anymore, unless I like get a ticket really early and then I know the Waystones line is open. But it's still really good. Like you can put it in the Fairy Circle stuff as well, like I just mentioned. It works with arm wraps. It's just fast item. You just have to get it online and you need to upgrade it. So you invest a lot. Like your Sterling will be upgrading it, and probably your level 13 as well. Because it's really hard to find this item in the shop. Alright. Now we can move on to max HP. So we have Hunter's Back Hunter's Journal for the crit and some HP. For our carries, we go for Claymore or Lost Blade. Lost Blade is suspicious because you need to have like Radiant. You can't play other items that have actives, so you can't play a Squirrel. So most of the time I try to avoid it, but sometimes I don't have a choice. And you have to pick something to enchant before level 10, right? It can kill in 2 hits, sometimes even 1. It's just vulnerable to CC. But if you have the trail markers especially upgraded, you have a much better chance of just winning, even if they CC. Then Claymore obviously is like the terror every single season, and nothing really has changed. It got nerfed, but it's still fine. You just need crits and max HP. You really just need crits. Sometimes you can get away with not having too much max HP items. But I think the best version is still with Hidden Lake, since the half HP triggers, and then you get like a 50% discount on your cooldowns, which is huge for the Claymore and the Lost Blade. Lost Blade, I probably wouldn't play without the Lake. Sometimes you have to, like if you just play like Hunter's Pack and Forest Cloak and go for a one-shot. Kind of suspicious though. Lake is very good. You don't have to upgrade it too much. Just having a silver one is nice. Sometimes I'll even hold it in my stash if I get the opportunity, because I know I'll be using it later, like pretty much every time. So yeah, trail markers is huge, especially when you upgrade it, because our fastest items are like mainly just the Flying Squirrel for the startup at 4 seconds. Sometimes chains. Well, you don't really play trail markers with the chains boards, but like Waystones is pretty fast as well. Those are like the 3 fast starter items that we have for our boards, which is kind of sad. So Vanessa starts at like 0 seconds, 0 to 2 seconds in the fight, right? We're starting at like 4. So that's why we want trail markers pretty much every time. When we're playing like any max HP stuff. Any stuff with the Hidden Lake, you probably want trail markers, since the Hidden Lake also offsets the downsides. Like even with Claymore, I would play Flying Swirl on the leftmost, since the haste offsets some of the cooldown increase, and also you guarantee get the fly almost when you have the diamond drill markers, since the flying squirrel will be unaffected. And that's like very important, the fly. It reduces CC and it hastes. Okay, now Trapping Pit got much better this season, mainly because it does very well into like Vanessa's. Sometimes when they have like a 0-second startup loop, the first thing that hits is like the blunderbuss, so you can blow it up and completely destroy their loop. Even hitting Bernacuda is very important for destroying their loops. So I think Trapping Pit is actually a lot better this season because of that. All right. Now we go B tier. We can start with some early game stuff. Beast Tooth is okay for just generating rage. It buffs as well, but it buffs really late. Like you have to enrage to get the weapon buffs. So I prefer using it alongside another weapon buffer. Hunter's Axe is similar, but it itself is a weapon. Benefit of Hunter's Axe is still a nice rage generating item, but you can put it in a lot more boards than just Beast Tooth. Adrenaline Shot is similar for the rage gen. Most of the time, I wouldn't buy it too early. Like I buy it when I know I need the rage boost, and also maybe I have some ammo synergies or some crit, so I can reload it. It's definitely a slept on item though. It does its job nicely. Going off of the rage theme, the Ancient Locket, very strong early and mid game. Like 2 seconds of vulnerability at those stages of the game will decide like a lot of fights, especially mirror matches against other Karnoks. So if you have space and your board rages fast, just put it in. We also have Vengeful Sigil. Honestly, could move this down, but it is really nice with the axe boards and some other boards where you have like big weapons and you want the rage. Even Boa Constrictor boards early, when you don't have any enchants since you're not level 10, Vengeful Sigil is perfect for that. Since like the lifesteal is very impactful for early and mid fights. Rune Bracelet. It's kind of similar to Beast Tooth, like it's an okay weapon buff item. Not the greatest, not the worst. But like I'm still buying it because sometimes you can't always find like Rune Amulet or Chains or Lifting Stones. Now onto Lifting Stones, it's gotten worse than last season since the fights are faster. Still like totally fine though. Like sometimes you'll just see this early and you play around it. But you really need Water Skin, in my opinion. So if you don't have the Water Skin, you might want to be careful about buying this. Or investing in it, at least. You can think of it like Water Skin unlocks this build path. Bladed Armor, same reason as Lifting Stones, like the meta's gotten super fast, so the item has gotten slightly worse. If you hit Flying Sword and Water Skin though, you can pretty much just get the item much faster. Helps out a lot. So it'll move up a tier, honestly, when you get those two. But it synergizes nicely with like any sort of weapon buff strategies that we play around. Infused arm wraps as well. People might be shocked, but it's moving down. It got nerfed, but again, the meta is super fast, super bursty, so you don't always have time to scale your defenses on the right side. But it's totally good though. Still very good. You can put bladed armor or the stretch pants, and put like flying squirrel, water skin, and speed them up. I think that's the important key, right? We need the water skin, the flying squirrel, to make the board faster and competitive. Maybe not even the water skins needed, but squirrel for sure we need. Also, if you get duct tape dropped from Banana Ball, like instantly infused arm wraps go straight up a tier. So yeah. A few other items to talk about. The Burn Start. So Firefly, Lantern, and Tinderbox. Totally fine as an opener. I usually do hold on to them if I can, especially like Firefly. If you see a bronze one before the Strange Mushroom, you can get a duplicate. That makes the burn opener a lot more enticing. But to really carry the burn opener forward, you need like Burn Scar, or maybe like some kind of like burn skills or enchants when we level 2, right? Burn doesn't do super great against burst matchups, but it does nicely into the slower matchups. So you're going to be gambling a little bit. I've definitely gone 6-0 or 7-0 with burn. Totally fine. It's just a little bit more gambly. But you can't be picky. Like, I don't recommend people forcing builds. So you gotta do what you gotta do. We talked about Geyser a little bit, but Geyser has like a short lifespan, in my opinion. It's very strong if you see it early, and then it will carry you for like a few days, and then you have to sell it. Campfire is kind of similar. It just focuses on healing instead of the Geyser. But sometimes that's the best thing for your build. So it's definitely like a premium heal item. Bagpipes is like specifically for day 1 and day 2, in my opinion. It just completely solos those days. So if you're, if you're lacking direction, I don't mind buying it. Oh, at worst, you'll just lose 2 gold, but it's worth it. All right, so that's that. Stretch pants, because of the natural lean we have towards weapons strategies right now, I think a lot of players are going to the Kev shop and the heal shop less. So I haven't actually seen that much stretch pants. It's not terrible. It's still fine. It just a little bit less played than last season. But it's still good with like the arm wraps. And then the wild boar stuff, it's a little bit suspicious now. I would honestly prefer like the fairies and furs stuff. So if you have the stretch pants set up with flying sword water skin, especially enchanted water skin from level 2, and then if you have fairies or decent crit, then I think furs is like insta pickup. Slept on item now because it got nerfed too much, but it does like huge amounts of work even at silver, and it is a pretty reliable way to outsustain all those finesses. But if you really want to go down that path, you need to upgrade your items, like furs and stretch pants and stuff. If you start like losing out on the upgrades, it's better to just pivot. Otherwise, you're not going to make it all the way to 10 wins. Still interesting though. Okay. I mean, there's so many items in this B tier that rely on the squirrel water skin stuff. It's kind of sad. But Hunter Sled is one of them. Hunter Sled actually got way better because Caracal gives you so many attacks now. It also is still quite flexible. Fits into the Frog Hollow, Burn Scar boards nicely. Spike Collar's at gold now, so it's super unreliable to get. But if you do, it's still great. You just add like lifting stones and stuff to buff your board. The sled always has that problem late game where it's like you need to activate it to do anything. And everyone is way too fast, and there's way too many like start of combat freezes and stuff that you can get screwed over. So that's why I kind of like don't really prefer it, but sometimes I'll still buy it just in case. Oh yeah, I didn't even like remember that Furs has like anti freeze a little bit, so that's like nice right now. But like if you have the car call, you can do some crazy things with sled. When you have the off class items as well, it can get crazy and you can do very cool things. So I'd say it's like S tier for creativity if you're trying to be creative. All right, let's go into Frog Hollow. So sometimes when you have like the water skin and the fairies and stuff, the lifting stones might not always cut it. So another option you can do is go for Frog Hollow as your like damage source. But you do need to have a Black Mamba most of the time, which is easy to get. Like I get Black Mamba all the time from the straight mushroom. So it's like, it's good if you get it early. The Frog Hollow, you get it early and then you already have the Black Mamba. And the transition is a little bit more difficult. Like the reason why we prefer weapons is because the transition is easy to your late game. A transition here would be difficult for sure. Probably go into like Trapvine, which I'm going to talk about right now, I guess, has the same problem as before, where if you face any builds that like don't activate that many items, you're probably just gonna lose, aka pig most of the time. But this season, there's like a lot of Vanessas and even like Dually is pretty popular, so Trapvine's pretty good. You do probably still want fairies, and you definitely want bat as your main slow sources. Then, whether or not you want to go for like a passive version with leather jacket, lichen, and like log trap, or you want to go for a rage version with the enervating sigil and black mamba and stuff. It's flexible. It depends on what you find, right? So, also notable here for Trapline, if you get a Barb Spike Warden from Shrouded Vigor or Temple Expedition, it shoots this up to like A tier at least. It's very strong. And also Trail Markers, very good with this board. So when I have like a burn opener or like a poison or slow opener, the trap line is very open. Definitely look for it. Especially if I miss like Hunter's Journal or Caracal somehow, then we really have to go for this style. What else do we got here? Log Trap, right? Yeah. Log Trap works pretty nicely with Boa. Works nicely with Trapline. It is kind of expensive, so I wouldn't just slam it on any board. But if you're already like going for like a slow build, as in you're slowing the enemies, then yeah, Log Trap's totally good. I would prefer it on boards where you enrage though, because just using it once is not that much value for 16 gold. Enervating Sigil feels like a better version of this for most slow builds, that you can like generate rage as well. So for the Boa board, I would be pretty happy to pick this up. And then same for Trapvine. Both of those two are nice though. Like large enchant in most cases, or else it just doesn't do enough damage. Then you also need some max HP. That part is the easy part. You also need to upgrade your items. Like Flame Steel and Machine need to be upgraded. That's why the build is actually very strong if you can get it online. It's just hard to get online. That's why I put Forest Cloak here as well. It mainly supports that build, but it can also be used with like Lost Blade, Wild Bear, and Claymore. Sometimes you just add it in. It gives you a good amount of HP. It's not bad. Oh, I missed a slow item here, the Fog Shroom. It's just another self-slow item. Sometimes it can work well in rage boards, where it just charges everything. It's not super consistent though. So most of the time I don't really buy this too much. We talked about Bear Trap a little bit, but it's gotten better. Not because of the Bear Trap board with like the chains and the tent. Honestly, I don't really like that build that much. It's a little bit too reactive. Like even more reactive than Trapvine, right? Because Trapvine, at least you can apply slows yourself and like give them poison. Bear Trap is completely reliant on them activating items. But we talked about the Assault Sage of Wild Bear stuff, and Bear Trap is very nice just to proc the initial rage. But you just need ammo. We have the Gunpowder node now, which makes this much easier to do. So I kind of just hold the Bear Trap if I'm leaning towards a Wild Bear Assault Sigil setup. It's totally good. You don't need to use it as like the soul carry anymore. I think that's outdated. Tranquilizer Dart has always been underrated. It applies a lot of slows, and there's a lot of NSs and dualies and Karnoks, right? So the chance you get the multicast text active is pretty high. Even without it, though, it does fine. Fast item, it's an ammo item as well, which synergizes with Bandolier, which we'll talk about. Heavy crossbow got pretty significantly nerfed, so I put it below boa for sure in terms of carry. The nice thing about this item is that your chains doesn't need to be upgraded that much. Still be nice, but the item itself scales on its own. You just have to slow and haste it. So similar to before, you could pick it up early in mid game and put it on your board. It does like a decent amount of damage. If you really want to bring this to the end, you need the fairy circle setup probably. Do all the self slows and like charge it. But again, I really don't prefer doing that these days. Okay, now for Bandolier, it's pretty underrated. You rage very fast. It does like 10 at silver or something, which is almost close to an assault sigil. When you upgrade it, it basically is an assault sigil just for ammo. So you mainly just use it with Giant Sling pretty much every time. But it's a nice rage generator. Sometimes you can use it with other things if you just want rage. So, yeah, it got better because of the gunpowder node, basically, right? Giant Sling still does a lot of work. I just put it lower than like Tree Club because it takes a little bit more to get going. You need good base damage, you need reload or ammo, and you still need the crit, and you need the rage. So, at least oh, got disconnected. But what I was saying is sometimes healing for like 50% of your HP, 25% is really important for winning a fight. You guys let me know where I lost you. I'm pretty sure it was on healing drought. Nothing crazy to say though. You know, it's another one of those like flexible filler items. I think we hit everything here now, except for Anaconda, Terror. Anaconda, it got better. The Salt Sigil helps a lot. Because the important thing with this item is you want to enrage before the second rotation, just like Wild Bear, right? The days of like doing the karst stuff is probably over. It's not too bad. I would actually go for the karst setup with Anaconda if I have trail markers and a Diamond Anaconda. And maybe do some looping or like some kind of like control style build with that. But the Anaconda is nice because it can win a lot of the extended fights. It just suffers against like early burst, and you probably need a defensive enchant or a defensive option. But mid game, it's totally fine. It's flexible. You can play whatever you want with it, really. And then worst case, you can just transition out and play something else. So it's not bad at all. I still click it like a decent amount. I tend to click it more than other players, though, notably. Maybe due to personal bias. Outland's Terror is like very suspicious. Like it just takes up too much slots for what it does. Doubling rage gen is nice, but it takes 3 slots, so you're losing out on like some of the small items you could be playing. So I'd still sometimes play it with Anaconda Tree or Giant Sling, but I don't click it that much. It's also expensive. And the days of using it as a solo carry is probably over. If you find it early, you can maybe fit it onto a wolf board, but not that great right now. Even like for Anaconda, Tree Club, and Giant Sling, you can just use the medium items to generate rage. You don't need this one to take up so many slots, right? Battle Axe. I didn't talk about this, but everyone thought this was dead because of all the nerfs. It's really not. You just need a silver upgrade and pocket knife. And probably like flying squirrel. Same as before. If you can get it to crit, it just one shots still. So for example, on day 1, if I get pocket knife, then I might click it unironically. But on day 1, it's bronze, so I probably leave it in my stash and go for some other stuff. But then day 2 or 3, when I get this silver upgrade, I have like my flying squirrel, some rage items, right? Then we can put it in. And it will still do very well. So it doesn't really deserve to go that low. Double-bladed knife. It's kind of similar to bagpipes. It's like a day 1, day 2 merchant, right? So you don't really rage on those days most of the time. So you can just think of this as like 100% crit small weapon. and you just add some weapon buffers, and you probably scam day 1 and day 2 with this as like a solo carry even sometimes. Also, there's some synergy with Adrenaline Shot, but haven't really used it too much. Okay, now I think that's everything here. And we can start moving on to the not so great items. Yeah, C tier. I mean, Lichen is actually quite good. Maybe I'll move it up even. But for now, we'll just leave it here. Synergizes nicely with Burn or Poison, honestly. Like, you don't really need to worry about Enrage that much in those boards. So don't let your bad habits take over and like auto skip this, right? Because in the past it was so bad we just skip it. So we talked about Black Mamba already. Sometimes you do get like a duplicate version because of the strange mushroom, and you might already have a bronze one. It's just really hard to play Poison Opener these days because your output is Worry Wart until you find a Frog Hollow, and then you just get blown up anyways by Vanessa. But if you get Frog Hollow early, then Black Mamba becomes much better. That's why it's in C and not D. Caustic Solvent is pretty good for burn or poison build. It's pretty much the same idea as Lichen. Worry Wart is honestly probably like high C if we're doing that, right? It's your only self-slow item early besides chains, so you do need it if you're going for a chains build. And then has decent synergy with Black Mamba. That's pretty much it though. If you're not in those directions, just skip it. Dryad is just like a fast item. It can help you rage. It's mainly played in burn boards. Since you have the Tinderbox and the Firefly Lantern that casts a lot. It can be played in Lifting Stones as well. But it's not that great. There are better healing options. And better like looping items like fairies, right? So that's why it's in C. It also takes up 2 slots, which is honestly like we don't have that much space on our board. So I tend to drop it a decent amount. Jerky is in C, but if you get it before the day 1 PvE fight, you should definitely buy it. Like that moves up to B probably. It's a fast item. It can proc your Healthy Jolt if you get that. It's good for Bandolier. It's good for Lifting Stone. Also heals quite a lot when you upgrade in the early days. So it's just another flexible item. Nothing crazy here. I put Meat in C now as well. It's mainly like an early game merchant. It's like Meat Bagpipes, right? Very hard to beat. Meat Unibo, or Meat Unibu, I think is how you pronounce that. With just some healing items like Water Skin Pants. Still quite good early. It's just those things just fall off really fast because Meat is very slow. So they're not as good as before, which is why the whole package is moving down, right? Unibu moving down. Even stuff like Karst and Wild Boar. Karst and Wild Boar are like, they used to be good. Like the old build was just cookie cutter. Squirrel Pants, Water Skin, Karst Boar. And your last item, you put whatever you want. Fairies, Beast Call, I don't know, something. The problem with that one is that build, it's good if they let you scale your shield, but you're taking so much damage from Vanessa right now that I honestly would probably just avoid it. It's a big investment to go into this direction. So if I'm actually playing Wild Boar, I would prefer to use Fur and Fairies to scale and just avoid the Karst version. Oh, Adrenaline Shot. In Hunter's Boots, yeah, they don't have a picture for some reason on the website. I don't know why. We got a question about Aurora Vista Wolf Mask. Okay, we can talk about Wolf Mask. Wolf Mask is very good for the crit scaling builds. Like Dual Reaver late game, you could definitely use it. And yeah, Aurora Vista is extremely underexplored. And I just have not seen enough confident data to really place any trust in this item. Pretty much every time I've seen someone use this, they've lost. I think it's just like not the greatest meta for going full sustain like this. If you have furs and fairies, you can transition into Aurora Beast pretty comfortably, at least. So that's something. But also you could just play cards with that as well instead. So I would be okay with putting it in D or C, either way. But like, yeah, you can get exponential with Aurora Beast, I'm pretty sure, if you get the Wolf Mask. I don't know if I've seen enough evidence that that will work when everyone is like killing you instantly these days. The Eagle Sigil is like similar to Wolf Mask. At least this one you can use for just raging, so it has a little bit more use. But most of the time I don't end up using it. And most of the time, like my crit isn't scaled up by that, anyways. But you can use it for the same idea. Like you play it with the what is the item again? Dual Reaver. You can play it with Aurora Vista, maybe with the Bear for crit and rage. Let's see what else. We were just talking about Wild Boar, right? Yeah, Pauldrons. It's just like one of those pay 8 gold, like win a few days and sell items as well. So if you're already going into the shield build for some reason, like maybe the game just did not give you Isla, like you couldn't play weapons, then Pauldrons is good pickup. It's also like not bad as a pickup for your arm wraps builds on the right side. You can't always get your pants upgraded, right? Like a slow pants is slow. You don't have time for that. So Pauldrons actually shields probably more early uh, when your pants is not upgraded enough. So has decent amount of use. Wristblade got buffed to 6 seconds, so it's actually a pretty good weapon. Early game does a lot of damage. It gets 100% crit quickly as well. Yeah, I'll upload this VOD. It's gonna be a long VOD. I'm kind of like rambling on, but talking about every item takes time, I guess, even though we have less items. Wild Root Amulet, slept on item as well. 4 seconds, pretty fast. Has some shield synergy. You can play with arm wraps. You can play it on a boa board if you need some slows. It actually slows for a lot. My issue with this is like I wish it upgraded to increase slow targets instead of slow duration. That would make it way better. Well, whatever though, it's fine. Rope is just like Timu Squirrel, I guess. I don't know. Like all of our haste items are extremely conditional besides Squirrel. It's just pain. Like it's 5 seconds. If this was 4 seconds, it'd be much better because you could use it with trail markers. So it's close to being good. Maybe we'll try to buff that for next season. Okay, Silver Stake. Its main purpose is to kill the tough monsters, but it does like an okay amount of damage. Like I always try to buy this before day 1 PvE if I can. But like I will sell it as well first thing, but I use it to take out Aetherites all the time. You can take out the what is that guy? The Mutant Baker with this. You can take out the Island person. You can take out Lich even. You just have to get a good board, obviously, and scale the damage on it. Do not upgrade this. I always try to make this clear, but do not upgrade this because if you hit your level 2 on day 1, you get an enchanted version. Then you can upgrade to like a silver, naturally, right? But at least you're getting like an additional benefit, like shielding, healing, or whatever, right? Then the item becomes much better. Maybe moves up a tier even. Okay, Great Eagle, yes. It was technically buffed to be gold. It's still not that great. Like the problem is it just takes up too much space. It's not bad as a Claymore supporter. You just need to upgrade it to diamond most of the time. It's not bad on its own either if you find it early, but it's a big investment. So if you have enough gold for it, and you want to upgrade to like a friend's board or something with weapons, it's totally fine. But I just found it to be fairly difficult to purchase. At best, it would be like bottom B, I think. Okay with bear as well. It's just hard to enrage because you have an 8-second item taking up 3 spaces. Signal flare is kind of like burn scar alternative, but weaker. It applies to using burn. I'd still buy it if I'm going burn board, but I'd prefer burn scar, pretty much. Not really much else to say for that one. Smite Craps. I don't understand why this is 5 seconds. So it becomes a Fang after you're in rage. So I'd rather just play a Fang. That's pretty much it. If you get to the second in rage, you probably already won. So the 1 second text doesn't matter. Sadly, I have to move tents down because I don't think I've ever seen anyone go for the bear trap solo carry anymore. Then shotgun is just a joke. So tent is pretty bad now. The main purpose with tent these days is to use it with chicken cannon. That's very good, but that's an off-class item. But if you get chicken cannon and tent, that goes like straight to A or S because it's like really strong. We already talked about Worry Wart, Honey Badger. It's just bad. I don't know. It somehow is worse when you're enraging and you just don't like charge during the cycle or during the enraged duration. And that is when it matters a lot of the time, right? So it's just like a filler friend item, in my opinion. I would buy it if I had like Beast Tooth Hunter's Axe and I want to enrage my board. But you don't really use it as a carry. It's just kind of annoying. And then lastly, Ghillie Suit. We have Hunter's Boots, which is better for the crit on your slow boards. But Ghillie Suit can let you scam some invulnerability, so it's pretty niche. Like it pretty much works on like the boa board or heavy crossbow boards only. But sometimes you have the extra like those boards have a lot of extra space where you can flex items in, and then you would maybe buy this sometimes. It's important to get the sustain for those boards because you don't hit level 10 that fast. And then sometimes you will miss your defensive enchant. Alright, only gets worse from here. And we go to the D tier. The two masks, Bear Mask and Boar Mask, they have one purpose pretty much. It's to be used with the machete, so you can enrage in one machete cast. These would be way better if the benefits were able to be ordered. Like the Bear Mask gives you HP, right? And the Boar Mask does damage based on your max HP. So you can, if you could like manipulate the ordering so that like the Bear Mask goes first, then the Boar Mask hits, or like maybe the Bear Mask goes first and then Wild Bear hits, right? Then we can get somewhere. But probably underexplored. But like their main purpose is just to be used with the machete. So sadly, that's why they're here. Like Wolf Mask, at least it has more purpose than just the machete. Like you could do, I mean, I didn't mention this, but like Giant Sling Wolf Mask, Outland's Terror, Squirrel and Sparrow is like an insta enrage setup, which is cool, but you just need to have a lot of base damage and crit. Snow Wisp has been gutted. It's terrible. It got nerfed way too much. I don't know, our character has no freeze items, I guess. It's just bad. Honey Jar is just probably the worst of the worst. Just a filler item. That's it. Like a bad filler item, I guess. If you need another heal for your lifting stones or something. Hunter's Blind is okay now. It's probably gotten worse as well. It just does like shield. But most of the time you just don't have space for it. Sometimes on your bow boards you do have space for it. I prefer Vengeful Sigil though, or something like that. But that's like the one use of this I've seen. In the past I've seen some creative things in previous seasons with Hunter's Blind as like a main carry, but I really don't think that's gonna work right now. Security Blanket, I mean, also has one purpose, to be used with Worry Wart. I mean, the early game, it's not bad at all. There's a lot of slows out there with like Vanessas and Stells and stuff. Dually slows a lot. So you can at least rage your board from it. It works on your opponent's slows. Yeah. Like you could just use Enervating Sigil instead. It's better. I'll go back up the list for people who join later once I get through this, because it's going to be in a video. Hunting rifle, sadly, I have to put it here because it's way faster, but it just doesn't do that much damage. You only have like 2 ammo. If you get early bandolier stuff and good base damage, then it definitely moves up. The old hunting rifle was just way better though, and you can tell. Like I haven't seen a single hunting rifle ever on the board in this season. But maybe I can move it up. Honestly, in theory, it's pretty good still. Data doesn't really support it though. I think you do that. I think you do need the extra ammo or reloading. Wolverine has always been bad, so it's gonna stay there. It needs to be faster. That's it. Just needs to be faster. Resistance bands is just filler rage gen. Terrible. I don't know. It's maybe an enchanted version could be good. Yikes. British crossbow, like all the ammo items are suffering, even with the addition of the gunpowder node. Just inconsistent. Like it's a lot of investment to get this stuff going. Once again, though, like if you have the bandolier stuff, the British crossbow becomes way better. Shotgun is the same idea, right? Like the days of playing the self-slow shotgun is probably over. Maybe I would still go for it if I had like a vengeful sigil as well. It can keep up with finesse, I think. But that's so much investment. You need like to buy a tent as well. It's just not worth it. Tranquil Sigil has pretty much one purpose as well. It's just like rage gen with like the Frog Hollow build. So you can get your Black Mama to activate fast. That's pretty good. Most of the time though, we don't really play that much heal these days. So the Sigil is not that good anymore. It was a little bit better last season. There was some shenanigans you could do with like Wildborn stuff maybe. But I would not try any of that right now. Torch is the worst burn item. It takes, like, you have to enrage to really get going with it, and, yeah, no. By that time, you already applied all your burn, right? So the only time this would be good is, like, really extended fights, but that doesn't happen this season. Beast Call, similar to Rope, it's just Timu Swirl, but this one only works on friends. Very cool. I would probably just not bother. If you upgrade it, it can be faster than a Squirrel, so that's something. But you have to be playing friends. Steel Bramble is just enchantment bot. So sometimes I'll just pick it up before level 10, just in case I get like slow enchant, haste enchant, freeze enchant, right? It'd be nice. It's like a tripwire if you get a slow enchant, for example. Aurora Beast that we talked about already. Just really hard to play the sustain builds right now. But this is an underexplored item. It's always been an underexplored item. So if someone is willing to show some evidence, then I'll move it up. Pretty much, this is just like Karst, but like somewhat weaker in most scenarios with the Furs and the Fairies build. Same thing with Wild Boar. I think I would prefer Karst still, but hey, you never know. War Paint is just, I don't know. It's just bad. It just needs to give like either much more rage gen or a benefit when you're in rage. Because right now you can just do other things with that slot. I guess if you really need to enrage, you could play it. But you could also just do something else like Beast Tooth. Or even Adrenaline Shot. Like, I don't see a reason for this. Warding Glyphs, it's like also outdated. It takes way too long to scale your grid, right? It takes multiple enrages. You don't have time for that. So it used to be better. Like Prime Warding Glyphs era was insane. But it got nerfed past that. Trynet is too slow. Sometimes I buy it on day 1 or day 2 because you have that amount of time, but you need to like one-shot them one rotation, maybe two if you have Flying Squirrel and Water Skin to charge it. So we would buy this if you have a bunch of other slow items already, which is kind of rare. But for example, if I get chains day one and I don't really get other weapon buffs, then I would consider buying this. At least it will win a few days. Bear Claws. Like, it's not that bad. But it charges, like, it gives you 10 rage per hit. It's just slow. I would still buy it from time to time, though. There are not many good options for gaining so much rage early. You don't have a full board unlocked yet. So this is a time when you would buy it. Finally, Snowshoes. It's in D because it's like a tech item. But pretty much always used with like Lost Blade. You miss your Radiant enchant. Can be used with Claymore sometimes as well, depending on your setup. But it's just like a Radiant enchant basically for freeze only. That's the problem. It's only freeze. Okay, and now three items I basically never buy. Drowse Drop, I don't know. Like, it's just Worry Wart pretty much that you would use this with. Worry Wart, Drowse Drop, and Black Mamba. But yeah, that is bad. If I'm playing that, I'm probably going 0-6. High-elo Paste, the base heal is way too low. So it's bad now. Needs a base heal buff and then probably even more base heal from skills. Honestly, maybe it's better than Honey Char though. Like, it's just filler heal item. And then utility belt. It's just too hard to use this. It's 8 gold, at least, right? That was a pretty big investment. And then you need to have like crit on one side and on the other side. It takes, you have to go through a lot of hoops to make this work. And the hoops are usually not worth it. I think it works pretty nicely with Dual Reaver, right? Because you can at least like start hasting a bunch with it. Because the Dual Reaver crits. And you put a flares on the other side or something. But still, like, I don't know if I want to invest that much money into this when I could just do other things with haste for my Dual Reaver. So I think every time I see this item, I don't end up buying it. All right, that's everything. Now we can talk about the game plan, I guess, or my game plan. Please do not just like force this thing because I said it. This is just my opinion. But what I'm doing right now is keeping my options very narrow. So early game, still buy the small burn items. Probably not Torch, but those ones are good because you can still get Dupe Lantern. You can fight the PvE to get even more burn synergy. So it's still fine to buy those. Most of the time, I focus on hunting down the S tier smalls at any cost, pretty much. And then looking for like a weapon scaler. Lifting stones counts, but it's probably the lowest priority. With water skin, it's better, but even like day 1 and 2, you don't have enough board space to get that going. So I prefer something else. Chains, Root Amulet, Beast Tooth, etc. Focus on those. Obviously, the small weapons, you want to buy like Pocket Knife. And maybe Double Bladed. Maybe Hunter's Axe. Mediums are not that important for the first few days, but if it's offered, like somehow, I don't have another better option, we can go for Spear Hunting Hawk. Try not to spend that much gold, right? The mediums aren't that important. It's the smalls that are important early. Bladed armor, maybe I'll buy as well. So hopefully my board, day 1 or day 2, ends up looking like, Squirrel. Have some small weapons. Have a few weapon buffs. That's a good board. Day 2, same thing. Maybe I can start adding some mediums then. Day 3 is when we start adding in like the upgraded spear at silver. Even more friends, like at the hunting hawk. Slowly push yourself towards the spear hawk setup, because that is what I found to be the most consistent. Because the caracal is very helpful for that. You don't need to have the bat anymore. The bat's still really good, but you can't always get it. Sparrow, of course, you want to have that. If you get an early dual reaver, easy slot in. Easy slot in. If you get chains upgraded, you have Worry Wart already, like day 1, day 2. Sometimes you just go for that as well, right? You could just do like solo double-bladed knife carry, or solo bladed armor carry, or any enchanted like small weapon, shield, heal, etc. That all works fine. Then if you find boa early, you go straight into that. That's the game plan for day 1 to 6, I guess. Never sell hunting journal ever. Oh, you buy hunter's pack every time as soon as you find it. Even at silver, just leave it in your bag. Leave the pack in your stash, I guess. Now, starting day 6, we want to find Claymore, probably, as soon as possible. If you have the pocket knife, you can even just slot it in. Like, you can start playing early if you have no crit. Most of the time you don't, though. But you do need to buy this as soon as possible. It like guarantees that you can survive into late. If you don't find it early, no ruse. If you have like the spear friend stuff, just keep going with that. Keep upgrading the items. Try to get the gold wolf ASAP. Wild bear slots nicely. Talk about that. If you see an early tree club, early anaconda, early giant sling, you can go for that. Giant sling is the hard one. You need to have like ammo stuff going on. Hidden Lake, I probably wouldn't buy to hold in my stash unless I already have like a lot of the other pieces, because it takes up 3 slots, and you still need to be farming like the pelts with hunting knife and picking up the drops for monsters and free items, so you don't really have that much space. Trail markers always buy. Past day 6. Assault sigil, maybe don't always buy, but probably buy if you have the weapons on your board already. Oh, I forgot to talk about battle axe, but that's not a bad opener. We already talked about it. Like, if you have the pocket knife and the flying stuff, you put it in at silver. Do not play it at bronze. It just does not do enough for 8 seconds. And then sometimes the game plan goes awry. Like, I don't find early weapons, right? I don't find any scaling. Then we have to go for like the burn build. I just avoid poison at this point. It's too much of a headache, but the burn is okay-ish. Then for the ammo build, probably avoid most of the time as well. It's a big headache. Get that going. So sadly, that is where we're at with the state of the game. It might look like there's like a lot of items in A, right? If you really look at it, a lot of them they're all one archetype. And then if you watch Chinese streamers on Bilibili, you'll notice they do pretty much the same thing. I would say like all the stuff in B, like all the carries, if you get lucky and you're headed towards like a perfect victory, then it's fine. Like all this stuff will be fine in B tier. It can carry you to a 10 win still. You just need to play around what you get and play for tempo, pretty much. Yeah, slower max HP or haste friends. Yep. If you get super lucky, then you can pick some of the stuff in the B tier to play around. Most of the time, though, you're not going to make it. I think all the Vanessas have learned what's good.